Hey everybody.
So you haven't seen our little mugs in like a week or something.
It's been a while.
We're so tired.
I'm very tired.
But we wanted to say hi and tell you we're alive. And we survived the great power outage storm apocalypse of January 2021.
Yep.
I'm Dungeon Meowster.
I'm TransCapybara.
And we're here to talk today about being a week and a day post-op from gender confirmation surgery that you just had.
I did. I've had it.
Congratulations.
It went very well, apparently, to the surgeon who performed it. And I don't know if I streamed about this before, but it was like same day basically. Like I went in in the morning and they prepped me and wheeled me into the operating room, and it took 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that. Then wheeled me into the recovery, and then like once I woke up and had my wits about me, then they sent me into a room, and then I was told like, you get to go home tonight as long as you can get out of this bed and walk around. So I got out of bed, and they found like this little walker thing that I was able to shuffle my way around the hospital floor, and it's because the surgeon wanted me to be.
I'm going to record this on your phone also, in case this isn't actually streaming.
Oh, okay. So they had me get out of bed and on the walker thing, and someone was helping me, like a nurse was helping me walk around, and I had all of this stuff all over me. It was like this packing material. It kind of looked like a hospital created chastity belt, because it was kind of like hard shell sort of, and it was all taped on me, like from my butt cheek all around and up to my belly. All this like wide medical, like really top end looking tape stuff. Yep, doesn't come off unless you rip it off. Um, and then like I had a catheter bag. I was all cathetered, and a couple drains put in that ended up in these little dangly bulbs of drain catchers, and they have a name, but I forgot what the name of them were. But I had to empty them every day and measure how much fluid came out. So that was always a fun little chore of these things catching like goopy blood stuff, and I had to like do like a science experiment and pop it open and dump it into a little beaker, and it's like 20 milliliters, and then write it down, and then reset the little bulb to you have to like compress and clean the top with like a little piece of alcohol wipe, and then you plug it up again, and so you create like a suction, and then they dangle on your body, and then they have like these little pincher hooks that you can hook them up into your shirt so that they're not like all dangly. And it was just a pain to manage. It was really annoying, and I had to wear baggy clothes like all the time, and packing around a catheter bag. And I did that for like 6 days. So from the post-op, uh, from surgery exit, 6 days, I packed around this bag of pee.
You had a song about it.
Getting to
Will
that.
you sing us the song when you get to it?
I will.
Okay. The song is really great.
It's just so, it was just like so ridiculous that I'm packing around this catheter bag with pee in it, and having to constantly empty it into the toilet. And then I would pee some more, and then like managing the look. I'd sit down, have to manage like the hose, like where's the hose going, and make sure it's not backing up into my, backing up into myself. Like make sure it's lower than the body, and it's just all this stuff to manage. So I didn't really move around too much, except when I had to. So um, I did come up with a song. It's called "Bag of Pee," and and it's basically like a refrain and then just like you say some ridiculous things that you have to do with this bag of pee. Like here's one that would be something I would say would be bag of pee, packing around this bag of pee, or like bag of pee, I'm cooking popcorn with this bag of pee, and just kind of calling. It was like calling out the situation,
It's a
and
closed circuit unless you take it apart. So you didn't get pee on the popcorn, right?
no, no, it's like all sealed up. There's
It's a
like
bladder.
it's a bladder, yeah, it's an outside bladder, and it's kind of gross. Um, Sometimes I had to like go to a store, but was I just had this pee bag on me, so I would hang it on the outside of my clothes, and then walk into a store with this bag of pee just sloshing around, and like I didn't care. I was beyond caring. I'm like,
You didn't care. You didn't care. You didn't care about your
especially
bag of pee.
like at the end, like seriously, like like a day before or so before I had to get this thing off, like power went out. We had no way of making, well, we had no heat, and we had no way of making coffee, and I
Yeah.
wasn't about to sustain. I didn't know how long this power outage would last, and so
Hasn't the
like,
power at the house been out for 4 days now?
yeah, it has been.
That would have been awful to keep staying there. We're in a hotel now, by the way,
Yeah,
as you can tell by the trademark
I
hotel door with a little thing in it.
I had an Airbnb, and it was the plan A. Plan A was to stay in that Airbnb, and before the surgery and after, it was where I was supposed to recover and relax and just not worry about anything. Didn't end up doing that because there's this massive windstorm that happened, and a bunch of rain, and a bunch of pine trees that didn't develop a taproot correctly because there was just too much groundwater. So why would you put a taproot deep into the earth when you can just live off the topsoil? And a windstorm came, and basically it was apocalypseville in the neighborhood that in the neighborhood where our Airbnb was. And I walked. I had to walk around.
There you go. We're back.
Hello.
Hello.
So where do we leave off?
Windstorm, ripping trees, and murdering all of the buildings and power and things.
Yeah. So it was massive. It was like a catastrophic event had happened. Um, and there was a extensive damage done to houses in our own neighborhood, like blocks away from us, such as um, I was walking and found a piece of like a whole chunk of a chimney, of like brick chimney,
Oh yeah.
had flown off the house.
I have a picture of that.
Like a tree hit the house with such force that it hit the chimney, and the chimney broke apart, and this brick chunk of chimney flew through the air and landed on top of a car parked on the street, and it was just ridiculous
How many
looking.
feet away from the house do you think that
It
car was?
must have been like 80 or 90 feet away,
That's a ways.
and I mean it must have arced to get onto the car and drop straight down.
Mm-hmm.
That thing must have arced across. That must have been just whack. I mean, it was an amazing amount of force happened to do that.
Yeah.
The other thing that was really shocking to me that I saw was this a big tree, huge tree, had ripped itself out of the earth. Like you could see the whole root ball. Um, the car in the driveway was right here. It like slammed onto the car and crushed it like a tin can. Like crushed. Like stand on a can, pop can with your foot and you can crush it. That's what that tree did to that car. It was. If anyone else was in that car, they would have died.
Someone did die.
Someone did die actually, but it wasn't that particular thing that I saw. But yes, someone did die in that storm by having a tree fall on them in the car. So anyway, that tree fell onto the neighbor's house, which messed messed up that house badly, and then it also hit the house after that one. So it was a really tall tree, and it just like whookajink.
So it's been a time.
Yeah.
The moral of the story is.
The moral of the story is.
It's been a time.
It's been a time.
This is why it's been a week since we streamed, because
there's
no power.
The power wasn't
You're
going
taking meds every 3 hours, so we're sleeping like we have a newborn.
Yes.
You can see in high def the circles under our eyes.
You can see in high def the amount of stress that I'm under. I'm actually pulling a lot of spoons right now. I'm borrowing from the future to do this, so.
Because people miss you.
I miss them too.
They want to know if you're okay.
I am okay. I'm actually really happy, and it's not, it was something that I really need to do, and it's opened up a lot of doors in my mind, but also I'm really tired. So like today I realized like I don't have the same energy that I used to. And I don't recognize that I'm using spoons until I run out of them, and then I fall asleep. I'll sit on the couch and just like my brain's like, "You're done," and then I'm just like, "Oh God, conk," and that doesn't happen to me until now.
It happens all the time though.
Yeah,
it's like my life.
That's what that's what you've said, is that I'm basically now experiencing what Dungeon Meowster experiences every day, and I have a newfound sort of appreciation for that, and I basically have to now budget my spoonage to do what I need to do before I just pass out.
Yeah. I've been trying to get you on stream for days and days, but that window of time at like in the afternoon when you're chipper before we've had dinner and you poop out, you've been so busy.
Yeah, I have been.
Okay,
yes.
Speaking of pooping out, how has pooping been going post-surgery?
You know,
Content warning, body functions this whole stream, but for serious.
Content warning, like all the liquids coming out of a body. Okay? I mean, it's like talking about childbirth. You're gonna
Except maybe spit.
There's all sorts of
spit's probably staying in your body, but everything else.
There's all sorts of liquids that are just questionable. And like there's going to be talk about lube and dilators, so be warned.
Saucy.
Be warned. This is like the trans stream.
So trans.
Yes.
We will be talking about vaginas. You're welcome.
I mean, it basically is the point of the stream, is to talk about my vagina. So there it is.
You're so cute.
I'll describe it in detail, but there's not going to be any pictures.
No.
The pooping. So yeah.
So you had surgery. They rearranged you down in there.
Uh-huh.
And then what happened?
Well, basically, the anesthesia makes your guts go to sleep.
Oh, it was the anesthesia?
Hmm.
Ooh.
It's a well-known fact that once you go under an anesthesia and you come back out, that your body has to wake up again, and the guts take a long time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it took me days of taking medications like Docusate and Mylanta, just
No, you took Miralax, not Mylanta.
of course, yeah, Miralax. Sorry, the 2M
They were
words.
similar looking, it's true.
Yeah, yeah, different things. Yes, it was Miralax. Yes.
All of the poops.
And I was
Didn't
taking those
happen.
for days, and I'm just like, when am I gonna poop?
6 days, right?
Yeah.
Took 6 days. You were more uncomfortable from the not pooping than you were from the surgical site itself. Because I asked you, what's your pain level?
It
What's your
was
discomfort level?
just like bloating. It was just like
It's
it's
so awful.
bloated. Just oh,
Your guts were
why?
so distended.
And I was drinking like all sorts of tea and water, just lots of water, which then made me sing the Bag of Pee song a lot because
There's so
I'm
much
just
pee.
having to manage all the pee from all the water to try to get my
But you
butt.
could sleep through the whole night. I'm gonna get up and go.
And that's true, except for the med schedule. Basically, when you get out of the hospital, the med schedule starts. So I have to take Tylenol, and then 3 hours later take ibuprofen, and then 3 hours later take Tylenol, then
and gabapentin.
and gabapentin.
Both Tylenol, gabapentin
Mm.
together. Because you had to do this with your meds.
Yep, you have to
Tylenol,
overlap them
gabapentin, ibuprofen.
so that you always have something in your system. I'm still on this med schedule too.
Which is why we're so tired. We already said that though.
So essentially, I sleep for only 3 hour in 3 hour chunks, and then an alarm goes off, and like you gotta take your meds, and that's including 2 in the morning, 5 in the morning. So I'm not like sleeping through the night. I'm waking up every 3 hours. So yes, it's like having a kid. Um, and I've had children, and I've had to do this because I've had to wake up in the middle of the night to change their diapers, and I've done this before. And I'm like, I thought I was done having children, and then I had a vagina, and I'm just like, child number 3.
Yeah, but it's not going to take you 18 years to finish this situation.
No, it's gonna be more like one.
And it's not going to take however many years of sleepless nights to finish the sleepless night period of time.
It's true.
Yeah.
It'll come to an end, and that's the hope. Like I am a positive person. I'm not like a, you know, I can see the end. I can see the light, and I can see a goal. I'm like, I can get to that goal. It's only going to be like 2 months out or something like that, and I just have to be a positive. Be positive. It's going to end someday. Everything's going to be like not swollen. Oh, by the way, I've got an ice pack routine that I have to do sometimes every day. So there's that.
We still have outstanding questions about frequency.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I'm going to try to ask some of these questions that I have on my list of questions.
Sure.
So after your surgery, you had your catheter, which you've talked about some, and you sang us a song. But you also had drains. Tell us about the drains and where they went and how that whole deal worked. Because that was interesting.
Yeah, I did talk about the drains a little bit. So basically, drain was this tube that runs, like they had to make a hole, sort of like where, like in my, just above where the surgical site was on both sides, kind of, it's sort of where the testicle, like vas deferens or something like that, tube goes up into the body and connects in. So they go, as part of the surgery, they clip those testicles out and remove them.
Orchiectomy.
Yeah, and they send them on. So I couldn't keep.
We had great ball jokes.
I know.
What were the great ball jokes?
I don't know, but
they were so good, whatever they were.
I can't remember. They took those testicles and they sent them off to a lab to see if they're cancerous, and they came back not cancerous. So I don't have testicular cancer.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that.
And even if I did, then they're removed. Good.
Yay. No more babies for you.
No more babies.
You cannot have babies
I
now.
am completely sterile.
Yay.
Completely sterile.
You have 2 wonderful children already.
I do.
They're so great.
So.
Hi, kids. We love you.
Yes.
Okay, so you had the drains, and how often did you drain the drains?
Like every day, it would collect. You have to. I talked about you have to like science experiment, put them in like a beaker and measure and down, and you squeeze it back together to create a create an air pressure sort of differential. And you plug it, and then it sits there and it basically it's pulling liquid out of your body. Like free liquid that's kind of just floating around from surgery. The tube itself ends up like way down deep into the body
Mm-hmm.
cavity. Just and so whenever they yarded that thing out, um, whenever my stuff was all removed, they pull and pull and pull, and it was like this far into my body.
I thought it was longer than that.
It was a long way.
It was real long.
But I had no idea where the end of it was. But so anyway, it's there to suck
So you had a
fluid
drain
out.
on each side that was kind of dangling, and then your
Uh-huh.
catheter bag, which was even longer.
Uh-huh.
So you had three things hanging off you.
Three things, yeah.
Those are all
Three
things.
bags of liquid.
You know, never mind. I'll share that later. So
Okay.
you did. When did you start cooking after your surgery?
Was that like a day later?
Day two. You made popcorn day two. You're in the kitchen making popcorn because you thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. I think there might be pictures of that somewhere in the Discord server.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I really wasn't in pain.
It's pretty low.
Yeah, it was like two. It started out maybe two, and I think a lot of it was the anesthesia just wasn't worn off yet, and I was just just oh, dragging around like what happened to me? And I've got all these like bags hanging off of me, like oh god, and then um, it got better. Like I think also what happened is that once the surgery was done and the testicles were removed, that's the source of the testosterone that was kind of in my body and kind of getting me down like for the last month or so.
Talking about dysphoria.
Yeah, it was like a dysphoria. It was sort of I would say it was a depersonalization or a basically I felt separated from myself, kind of just off a little bit. Um, and then when that testosterone left, everything kind of went back into alignment. So now I feel like I'm in full control of myself and
Mm-hmm.
not depersonalized. Um, and I'm still running on estrogen patches because I have to. Um, I don't go into HRT until like a couple weeks from now.
So you have your estrogen patches. So you have some HRT,
Mm-hmm.
but the quantity is significantly lower than your regular estrogen pills,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or as some people in
it's
the
a.
trans community like to call them, titty skittles.
I like to call them girl roids,
Girl roids.
even though they're not a
That's funny. So, what else have you noticed being post testosterone? Because, like, I know cis women go through menopause and they have a period of time where they have significantly less estrogen in their bodies naturally. But typically, people who are assigned male at birth, let me say it that way, um, I don't think they experience such a huge loss in testosterone. Maybe it dwindles as they get older, but like,
Yeah, it does.
you know what I
I
mean? You
mean,
know what I'm saying?
yes, yes. Um, from what I
Menopause.
from what I understand, um, as men get older, and I'm talking about cis men, that their testosterone gets lower and lower and lower, and then they feel tired and not themselves, and kind of depressed, and then they go to the doctor, and the doctor runs a blood panel, and then they find out you have low testosterone. And then men have cis men, the same group of people, have the option of getting their testosterone levels back to normal. And then when that happens, they get more vibrant, more erections. They feel better. They feel less depressed. So I mean, like, it really is a thing. Like, your hormone balance is important, and it's important to every human to be able to live with the right hormone balance. And everyone's different because everyone's brain expects something. Expects your own special mix. Everyone's brain expects your own special mix. It's your job as a human to figure out what the special mix is. My special mix is that I don't fucking want testosterone in my brain. It runs on estrogen, and that's where I'm at, and that's valid. Trans people are people. Trans women are women. Run on estrogen, just like every other female identified person, right?
So you mentioned something to me today about how you felt like your face looked different.
Yeah, it does.
You didn't have any surgery on your face or anything.
No.
So tell me/us about that.
Okay, so this is like something that it's a post-surgery observation of mine, and it's something that's hard to put into words. But I think what it boils down to is that my brain, before surgery, has a body map of a female in it. The body map was constantly complaining that there was foreign material attached to me. And it was also constantly complaining that it could not find my clitoris and my vagina hole in the places that it had expected it to be. Like, where is this thing? There's two things wrong. You're missing these things, and also there's these foreign things attached to you. And it was doing that like as a constant input into my brain, and then I had to like do things to kind of put that aside and try to live my life. After surgery, those two things got resolved. And once they were resolved, that the whole thread just disappears. So now it feels like, and it looks like in the mirror, that there's like a radiant glow that comes off of me.
Oh.
It's really cool to see. Like, I look in the mirror and I'm just like kind of like like looking at a painting of like a beautiful woman, and I look at the mirror and I see a painting of a beautiful woman. And it's my own image, and I'm just like, oh my god, I have never seen a more radiant person than me. Right? Like, you look in the mirror and you see someone radiant, and it's like something I've never experienced before.
Would you call it gender euphoria?
Yeah, I would call that gender euphoria.
I love it.
I would. And it really affects the way that I move through the world, to not have that constant stress. Now I have another constant stress, which is taking care of my new vagina. And like, it's basically a surgical site that's healing. And it takes a lot of care and maintenance at the moment. And it's getting me like it's wearing me down, and I'm not getting good sleep. So this is why my face looks like this. And it's not going to look like this. It's not going to, in the future, whenever this is healing more and more and more, and I get more and more sleep, and I'm not on this med schedule, like I get off the med schedule and just like take it when I need it. I'm gonna look different than this tired face that you're seeing. You're probably gonna see a more vibrant version of me.
Will you post selfies in the Discord of you looking vibrant and trans and wonderful?
Sure, definitely. So I would recommend bottom surgery for those that want it.
Yay!
It is like pretty amazing. It's really amazing. I know that some people it's really not an option, and that it is a privilege to be able to access that sort of care. It shouldn't be, this is like something that shouldn't be a big issue, but it is because trans health care in America is very hard to come by, and I want to call it out. It's a privilege to be able to access it, and um, I'm grateful that I was able to, and I really feel for the folks that it's not an option and it's not accessible, and I want to be able to, um, I know where you're at. It's not a fun time.
Yeah. So related to that statement is this question here. How would you compare post-surgical discomfort and pain to the constant dysphoria that you just described?
I would not wish constant dysphoria on my worst enemy. It will break you down over time and then to a point where you are contemplating your options. Um, the thing with constant dysphoria is that there are ways to improve it, um, and everyone's different. And the way that I approached constant dysphoria was I I went on to HRT and it fixed a lot of it.
Oh, cool.
It did. It was really good. Um, there's like the body looks at the beginning, taking HRT will affect your brain first, and and it fixes a lot of it. But also, you're looking at your own body, and you're like, oh, I still look male, or I still look female, or whatever. I still look like an older version that I don't like to look at, and that takes time to transform, and it does, and then your dysphoria gets a little better over time. And then sometimes you'll have an event or something happens that your older identity will melt down and you become like a puddle of a person.
Yeah.
And then you rebuild your identity into the new person, which is some I also had to go through. And after you do that, which is basically you move through puberty, which is this process of you melting down and then you being reformed.
Can that process start before you go on HRT?
Yes, it does. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
My experience was that it happened after I took HRT because I had a pretty strong identity built. And by built, I mean I built it myself as a shell. It was a really strong shell. And then it started to crack. And then I try to like patch the shell up. Like, don't crack, please. I'm an actual boy. And then just like
a Pinocchio situation?
Yeah, sort of. And I'm just hobbling along like, I think I can do it. And then I go in HRT and it starts to melt, and I'm like, I can't have this melt. This identity, like, I still need the shell because I'm still trying to hide parts of myself, and then yeah, like therapy helps with that. Sitting with oneself and your own thoughts and journaling also helps. You have to. The thing is, that you have to do the work to totally transform your identity into something else that's more solid. There's work that you need to do to yourself, and no one else can do it. There is no magic pill. um, and it's hard. It's hard work to do that. I acknowledge that. I had to do all that work too. um, I just we should talk about dilation.
Okay, but first, I'm trying to like talk about your experiences in the order they happened because I'm trying to fit 8 days of experiences into one stream.
Okay.
So I know your reminder just went off, and so it's like, oh yeah, that, but that's like down here, we're up here.
Okay.
So
Okay.
one last question about the removal of the testicles. So that's sort of surgery day thing.
Sure.
Male pattern baldness is a thing. Are you still at risk for male pattern baldness?
No.
Why not?
Because male pattern baldness happens with testosterone, and I lucked out that male pattern baldness didn't start in my body. By the time I took HRT and started stripping all the testosterone out of my body, because I guess my genes or my heritage or my parents or genetics or something like that meant that I get to keep all of my hair until however. So um, I think the only thing that really happened with testosterone in me is that the hairline kind of started to recede a little bit.
Yeah.
Right here.
But you could make that up somehow, right? There's a way to do that.
I was told that if I got male Rogaine, for Rogaine for men, and I applied it right up here, there's enough a little tiny.
You put it like your whole here if you wanted.
You only need to apply it on the parts where there's tiny little vellum hairs that stick out because those are active hair follicles. Anywhere where the head's shiny and there's no hair, it won't do anything to it. It only works on hairs that are dormant, like a vellum hair. So I could kind of restore my hairline a little bit with it if I wanted to. And I haven't started that. It's not that important to me to do, but maybe it would be cool. I don't know. Um, Second question.
Okay, so the other uh, pre-dilation related question is, so you had your surgery, you had your drains, you had your catheter, but you also had packing, and so it was like gauze that was wrapped up and put inside.
Yep.
And then you had so much tape on your body.
Yeah.
You came out of there looking like you were wearing a tape bikini.
It looked like you wouldn't basically you couldn't see anything surgical at all when I came out of the hospital because it was all just wrapped up like a package. Kind of like I don't know what to compare it to. It looked like a big diaper that was taped onto me.
Yeah.
Sort of.
It was like a sexy diaper though. It wasn't like a dumpy poop diaper.
It wasn't dumpy poop, but it was not sexy either.
Agree to disagree. And your spouse, okay. I thought it was a fun look. It was a very skinny little V shape.
Wearing it wasn't so good.
I know, it was uncomfortable.
So that was an exciting day to look forward to. Going back to the doctor's office 6 days after surgery and having all of that stuff removed off my body. I was really looking forward to that day. So they like peeled all the tape off little by little and just like took the drains out and yarded those things out. And
it was like a magic show when the what is it, the PA?
Yeah, it was the PA.
Started pulling the gauze out and just kept going. What was that, like a yard of gauze? It was so.
It was longer than a yard.
It was so much.
Like 3 or 4 yards of gauze. They just pack it in there, and to keep the shape that they had created for my vagina opening and the depth.
Did we already show off the bag of dicks, or have we just been planning to do that and haven't yet?
I don't think we've shown off the bag of dicks.
We should get the bag of dicks.
Bag of dicks. I will get them.
So what I'm referring to is the dilators that Capybara has to use to maintain the depth that she just mentioned. So the plan for the rest of our stream is we're going to talk about dilators and neo versus natal vaginas, and then we have some thank yous to share for all the folks that have been contributing to our Meal train. All right, here we go. Bag of dicks. Goodbye, phone.
Oops.
Oops, that's right.
Oopsie. Sorry about that. Okay. Bag of dicks is this. Purple, like, bag of dicks. And inside are...
These are medical devices. These are not sex toys.
These are what are technically called vaginal dilators. Mm-hmm. And this one is the smallest. It kind of has like a little curve. Yep. And it has these dots, and that's like a depth indicator, how far you're putting this thing into you. And then what you do is you take what I use is Surgilube, TM.
TM.
Surgilube, only the best lube.
Ian says, "Be careful."
And
they sculpted your parts to the biggest one in your bag, right?
The biggest one, and this is the smallest one.
Yes, I was going to ask you about your orange one. That's the next question.
The orange one.
This is the largest one. People on the internet talk about it. The orange one.
This massive thing is big. Is big and scary.
But that's the size they modeled your inner pocket off of. Your face.
I have to train up to this one.
Okay, so how what's the schedule on that? Is it every 3 months you go up a level?
I think it is. Yeah.
You level up?
Level up. I'm on level 1
right now. Purple.
Yeah.
You're like a purple belt. What's the next color?
The next color is blue.
Purple belt, blue belt.
That's blue.
Ta-da, blue belt.
And then green. And then your green belt.
And then you know it's for serious when you're an orange belt.
I think black belt has a strap on.
It's a different topic altogether. Okay. So, how often do you have to dilate? What is dilating? Tell us that process. Because that is something that you have to do now.
This is a maintenance activity that I will have to take on forever now. It's something that you just have to agree to whenever you do this surgery. It's like, well, you now have to dilate it.
What happens if you don't do it?
Yeah, bad things happen.
Can you be more specific for people who don't know what that is?
Yes, bad things happen. So the dilation, let's start with the dilation process first. I take Surgilube and I put like a couple lines of lube on the top. And then I spread it around so that it's like all goopy. And then I put that thing into my vagina that's been created. And I push it in until it doesn't push in any further.
And hopefully it's one of those dots, right, that you showed us?
Yeah, and I'm managing to go actually past the last one. Like I've got a lot of depth in there now.
Good job, fancy doctor.
And you hold it there, like you hit the end of the wall. You can feel that it's hitting the wall at the back. Yep. And you just kind of hold it against the wall.
Is it like your neocervix?
It is kind of like a neocervix, yeah. And then you just take your hand and you hold it there for a half hour.
Timer. Set a timer.
I set a timer. And you can make it fun time if you want.
Or you can just keep it clinical.
Or you could just like hold it and scroll through, doom scrolling your Facebook. Or watch TV or do whatever. Call your mom. I don't know.
Ian asks, does it bleed?
It does at the beginning. Yeah.
But that's because you still have stitches that are healing, right?
Yeah, it's all like really, it's all healing up, and this is kind of the point of doing the dilation. Is like they've formed this thing, and now it needs to like heal into the shape that you need it to be. And so the point of dilating is to keep that pocket open. And you have to do that 3 times a day for like 2 months. And you can't miss a dilation. You can't miss it, because if you do, that pocket starts to heal in on itself, and then you lose depth. And you can't correct it.
No.
There's no way to correct it besides going back and having another surgery to add depth. And who wants to do that, right?
Nope.
So dilate and don't miss it. Make it enjoyable, you know. Make it something that you have to build your life around it.
Yeah.
Basically.
So for the first 3 months, you have to do it how many times a day?
You have to do it 3 times a day.
And then the next from 3 to 6 months out from surgery, how often?
You have to do it like 2 times a day. So it kind of like, as the further that you go out, the less time that you need to pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it goes like 3 times a day, 2 times a day, 1 time a day, once every other day, once every week, and then once you get to once a week, you basically do once a week until you
Ad
can't.
infinitum.
Yeah, until you're dead. Yeah, or until you don't want depth anymore, then you just like let it heal together, and
like
then you don't have
taking an earring out.
Yeah. So the best analogy is you take an earring out, like mine, where I had to take my earrings out for surgery, and then like a couple days later, I asked Dr. Meowster, "Can you put my earrings back in because they're tiny?" And I'm like not that good with putting tiny things together. Plus, it's a post. It's like it's not a regular earring.
Smaller hands.
It's tiny. Yes, small hands.
Smaller. We gotta make our heels match. Okay. But still, your bones are bigger.
Yes, I have big hands. Big. Good to open pickle jars.
True.
And other things. So.
Ian's the same. Also, Ian asked, do you wear a timer?
Do you wear a timer?
I think you set a timer. You don't wear a timer, right? You just like set a 30-minute timer on your phone, set it on a bedside table, and sit there.
It's kind of like making tea, but only for a half hour.
Instead of making tea, you're making V.
I'm making a V.
Good jokes. Speaking of jokes, tell us your dilation joke.
Dilation is a wholesome activity.
Hey.
Yeah, very much a wholesome activity.
See, there's all these little things that we've been saying and that have been coming up that I wanted to share with everyone.
Well, I mean, like in stressful situations, humor is always the best medicine.
Tends to be, yes. Okay. Can you tell us about the differences between neovaginas like you have and natal vaginas like I have? So, vagina from birth versus vagina constructed during surgery.
Okay, so I think the big one is that a natal vagina does not need to be dilated.
Oh, that's true.
It stays the same. It stays the same, and you don't have to do anything. It's just there. It doesn't heal upon itself because it's just created that way. Yep. It has the right tissues that doesn't do that. Natal vaginas are also matched with the skeletal structure of a natal female body, where the hips actually look different and everything's kind of shifted a little bit. So a natal vagina is kind of lower. Like if you look at the curve of a body, it's positioned lower, like all the parts, than a neovagina, which is a little higher because it's just the difference between a natal male body versus a natal female body. So
which means even like the like crack or slit between the labia goes higher up on a neovagina because it goes all the way up to the top of where the shaft was, right?
Right. So you just have to use what's there. Like on my body, my penis was at a certain spot. You can't move it like around because it just doesn't work like that.
Also, you'd lose all those nerve endings if you did.
Yeah. So the way that they do the surgery is that they don't sever any nerves at all. They keep all the nerves there. But that means that you can't like lengthen it to put it somewhere else. You just have to do it where it lies, and where it lies is a little higher. So
we've had to use a lot of pads for the bleeding because there's a period of bleeding that happens after.
Yeah.
We actually had to put the pad on the opposite direction of the way that I normally would put a pad on my body because your stuff was so much further forward than mine.
Right. Yeah. It's I appreciate the help that folks that have a natal vagina um have to deal with like the period stuff because
Mhm.
it's sort of like having a period right now
Yeah.
with the way that this is healing and all of the like blood and this healing stuff.
Mhm.
It gets a little soft.
You're adorable, you know.
Are
It's
you
back.
back?
We're back.
Okay.
We did cute things, but didn't ruin storytelling, so you could hear all the words.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking about blood and periods and pads.
Blood periods and pads, trigger warning, female stuff, whatever.
You can still hear us. Okay, that's good.
So, so the pad, I kind of position it higher. Oh, I had to learn how to put pads in underwear. So yeah, I am like a little girl. That's got
You
her
were
first.
like a young woman. Girls do not bleed. Women
Okay, fine.
do.
I'm like a young woman.
Just saying. That's literally like the rite of passage.
Sure, this is a rite of passage. This is literally my rite of passage. Um, it feels like it too. Um, where to put the pads on the underwear because I've never had to do that before, and like the maintenance, and then there's so much swelling that I have to learn how to pee again. So that's an interesting time.
Fun.
Interesting time. I'm like trying to be positive with my body, and then like kind of talking to it, like you can do it.
Is that thing clean on the floor over there?
I don't know if it is.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like these disposable pads, like I don't know, 3 foot by 3 foot, and we put them on surfaces where if I sit down on them
For an extended period of time.
for an extended period of time, that I won't like bleed on the furniture.
Now you understand the stress and trauma of every young AFAB, assigned female at birth person having their first couple of periods and bleeding on furniture because they don't know how to manage their pads, right. And it's just a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm managing that now. Learning how to pee again. Talking to my urethra opening, like you can do it. Just open up, you know. And it's an interesting experience. I yeah. Sorry, my brain is. I'm losing my words. I'm getting tired. I'm losing my words. I'm going nonverbal a little bit. So sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we didn't start with the question I usually ask you at the beginning. So I'll ask it at the end and then do our thank yous. Okay. All right. So how are you feeling physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? And if you forget those, that's right there. Read it to yourself.
Physically tired.
Yeah. You did talk about the spoons earlier.
I did. Also, like, everything's kind of swollen, and I have to ice. And I'm so physically tired that whenever I put ice on there and it starts to feel better, like I'll fall asleep with an ice pack on me.
Yep. Because the discomfort is finally gone.
Yeah.
Now you know how I feel when I ice my back.
Yeah.
Because my back hurts all the time.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I'm tired all the time.
Mm.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
You're pretty, by the way.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You're handsome.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm wearing the gender dysphoria starter kit right now. Sweatshirts. Yeah, someday we'll get there.
I had the gender dysphoria starter kit by wearing black Carhartt pants every day and black t-shirts.
I wish Carhartts would fit my butt. It's just like I am curvier than Carhartts are prepared to handle. We even tried a year ago. They were not ready. They were not ready for this action.
Carhartts are great. They have lots of pockets and
right pockets. They're durable.
Women like pockets, and clothes manufacturers, pull your head out of your ass and put pockets on everything. Just fucking pocket everything. Put more pockets on women's clothing than men's because we use them.
Okay, so I had a title for our stream that we didn't end up doing, but that we were going to do the day that you had your packing taken off. Unboxing video. Get it?
Unboxing.
Because like unboxing videos is like a very popular internet phenomenon, right? It's like, oh, my new thing has arrived. Let's do an unboxing video. But in this case, it was your personal box.
It was my personal box.
Anyways, there's my joke.
I mean, it was glorious to see. It was glorious to see it all unveiled and unpacked, and just like looking at it with a mirror. I'm like, oh my god, it's so cool.
There's a picture of your face looking at it from that day in Discord if people are interested.
Oh, cool.
You're so happy.
Yeah, it was really amazing. I don't miss my old parts at all. It really, it's really just like my brain is happy now. So it is a thing, you know. And I know that the question has been raised to other folks that have, like cis men that have a penis, and they're horrified at the fact that they would be removed. And yes, it's because their brain expects it to be there. So it's kind of like that in reverse. Okay, so emotionally, I am really trying to do a really good job of not breaking down on stream and just bawling my eyes out right now because I want to just kind of hold it together because that's who I am as a person. I just like I hold it together and hold it together and blow up, fall asleep, something like that. I'm actually really excited to be here talking on stream with everyone because I do care and I want to show that I'm, a strong woman that can just power through things, which may not be absolutely true. I was telling,
strong women cry too.
Yeah, I know. There's actually a Sia song about that.
Oh.
Like Big Girls Cry. I think that's what it's called. That's a good one too. You should listen to it. TM.
We have no rights to that song.
I know. Don't put. You have to go listen on.
That's why we're not singing it on stream.
We're not.
No.
No.
How are you mentally?
Freaking awesome. Yeah. Like mentally, like I just stepped through a doorway, and I'm looking at possibilities that have not been open to me yet. Of realizing kind of this next level. I've kind of leveled up as a person doing this to not be under constant dysphoric, a constant dysphoria. It's going to be interesting how much more capacity mentally I will have because I don't have to constantly think that I don't have the right parts on me. So even though I'm really tired and I'm on a med schedule, I'm really hopeful, and also like I have a glow about me, like this luminosity, let's just say, that I've never seen coming off of me, and like I get to see the actual person in the mirror that I really have wanted to.
It's really cool.
It's really, really cool. Yeah. Spiritually thankful of the container that we created in that house that we were in, Airbnb house, because the house didn't get a tree falling on it because it really could have done. That really could have happened. because a block away there was like 3 houses with their trees falling on them. And we had a tree right next to this Airbnb property that could have just went crushed into the house. And it didn't. The power went out, but power goes out.
Yeah.
We didn't get harmed or injured. We were able to get out and find another safe space. So I do thank everyone that I called into that circle that I created and we created for that protection and for looking out for us. Other than that, I am grateful for Dungeon Meowster's help in getting us moved back into this apartment, and their spoons and my spoons. We have to kind of do spoon budgeting to try to figure out how to best exist in here and not like fall apart. We hold each other up like the spouse couples that we are, and we'll get home safe and sound, and we'll work together.
I just thought of something not on our list that I wanted to share, and that is, it is possible to have a non-binary bottom surgery. Now, here's the deal with that. So I have a friend who is interested in some sort of non-binary bottom surgery, and so I asked the surgeon while we were at the hospital, what would it look like to keep the penis but also have a vagina with depth? Is that possible? And the short answer is yes, that's possible. The slightly longer answer is currently with the WPATH standards, it's pretty binary in its language, and so insurance companies basically only pay for binary gender confirmation surgeries, which is what GCS stands for. However, options could be wait, because eventually they're going to revise WPATH to include more non-binary options for those who do want to have both, who feel that that's more in alignment with their gender fluidity, gender nonconformity, etc. Another option is it's cheaper to go to Thailand, specifically Thailand, than it would be to be here and do it, or you could pay cash here. And I was like, well, what is the cash for that? Like $500,000, $10,000, $70,000. I mean, it depends on where you are in the country and all of those other pieces, but the doctor predicted it would be around $70,000, which is still, that's like a very nice car or a down payment for a house or a year in college, or it's a lot of money, a year at a good college. But physically it is possible to have that surgery, and what they would do for those who have penises, right, assigned male at birth people, is they use part of the colon to make the vaginal canal and vagina, and so it actually has a little bit of self-lubricating, which the type of surgery you had, which was penile inversion, there's no lubrication at all, so you will be using lube forever.
Yeah.
Because you don't have your own situation down there.
That's right.
So, but just so folks know, it is possible to have a non-binary surgery to have both. There are people in the world that want to have that surgery. It is an option. It will be more and more of an option in the years to come when all of that gets put into the WPATH. Do you know what those letters stand for? WPATH standards of care. It's okay if you don't.
I don't know off the top of my head, but it is like sort of the gold standard of how doctors treat trans folks. And it sort of defines the ordering in which you have to go from, walk through the different steps of proving to doctors and to psychologists and to the insurance company that you are of sound mind and body to be able to change your body from, to be able to do a surgery. It is kind of gatekeepery a little bit. It's because the doctors are really, really careful about what they're doing to you, because they have to follow their own oath of shall will do no harm, right? So in order to prove that they're not doing harm to you, you have to prove to them that what they're going to do to you is going to be not harmful.
So, what are the current WPATH, which stands for World Professional Association for Transgender Health? What are the current WPATH guidelines? What benchmarks did you have to meet in order to get surgery?
Version 7. Version 7 is the latest version. Some insurance companies are not up to date on version 7. They may be following version 6. So version 6 and 7 are different. They have a difference between the sets of rules. Version 6 is very binary. Version 7 loosens it up a bit, and version 8 is supposed to loosen it up a bit more. So insurance companies have to kind of play catch up.
Yeah. So what box did you have to check to get your box that you unboxed 3 days ago?
Okay, so
time math this year, 2 days ago.
Yeah. The things I did were so I found out I was trans, like I determined that. Then I found a therapist that was able to deal with trans health. And I went to that therapist for like a month or 6 weeks or something like that. And in that therapy session, they established the fact that you have gender dysphoria. And they write that down, and then they refer you to an HRT doctor. So you take that documentation. Sometimes it looks like informed consent. Informed consent is like a really good path forward because it's not so gatekeepery. Basically, they read out, this is what estrogen will do to your body, something like that, or testosterone, depending upon which one you're going for. And you initial, like each one of these side effects, like you are aware that estrogen's going to make you sterile. And then you're like, yes, I understand that. And then you talk with the therapist, like on each one of those things, like, do you understand what this is? Can you explain this back to me as to prove that you understand what this is saying? And so you prove to the therapist that you understand everything in this like informed consent thing, and then they sign the letter, and it's like, okay, well, we went over this. They're fully informed, and I can prove that, from my professional standards, that this person knows what they're doing. Then you take that to an HRT doctor, and then they do a blood panel and see where you're currently at with your estrogen and testosterone levels. And also they do other things like a lipid panel and other things that affect hormones and making sure that you're actually healthy enough to go into hormone therapy. And if you're not, you have to go to your doctor and kind of straighten that out first. And if you're healthy enough to go into hormone therapy, then depending upon your levels, they'll like, okay, here's some estrogen. Let's start you out at a low dose. And so they started me out at a low dose of like 1.5 milligrams. And it was like this cream that you just kind of put a line of it on your arm, and then you kind of rub your arms together, and it soaks into your skin. The first time I did that, I experienced like a gender euphoria, like my brain woke up finally. And it's like, oh! And sort of everything calmed down, like the noise in my head kind of went away, and then I was able to think like clearly again, and just like, oh wow, this is like the answer.
Well, and I read on the Gender Dysphoria Bible that basically with, I think that was where I read it. Anyways, basically with HRT, when you start HRT, if you are not cis, if you're some flavor of trans, non-binary, something, then you have the experience you just described, the gender euphoria. If you are cis, you feel like garbage.
Right.
Because you have the wrong hormones in your body.
Yep.
So it seems like it's actually physiologically there's a pretty clear distinction between if you're trans or not.
Yep. If it kind of goes back to everyone has to find the right mix. And if you come in with the wrong mix and you add something that makes it right, your brain's going to say, that's the right mix. You should keep it here.
Kind of like craving food.
And if you add more of the wrong stuff, Your brain's like, what are you doing? You need to remove this out of my brain because I feel like garbage. And you just have to listen to yourself, and yourself will tell you. You'll feel off and awful. And if you do that, that means you're on the wrong hormones.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to share before our thank yous?
Well, you were talking about the all the steps that I need to go through, and I've only gotten through HRT.
Okay.
So you have to be on HRT for a year, a whole year, and then you have to come out publicly as yourself. Like you have to out yourself to the world, and you have to live in your gender for at least a year, which means that you probably have to change your name and your pronouns and let everyone like mourn and go through a grief process about losing the person that you were because that's going to happen.
Well, but the mourning isn't part of the WPATH requirements.
No,
that's just a thing that happens.
It's a thing that happens. It's
Yeah.
a side effect. But you do have to come out
Okay.
and live in your gender
For at least a year?
For at least a year.
So for trans women, you have to be on HRT.
Yeah.
And I asked the doctor about that, and the doctor said you have to be on HRT because sometimes the breast growth and the other physiological changes are enough to combat the gender dysphoria that you don't need surgery.
That's right.
Whereas if you are transmasculine, there is not an HRT requirement to have top surgery because no amount of testosterone or whatever is going to make your boobs go away.
That's right.
So if you have gender dysphoria because of your chest, it's just like, nope.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes, yeah. It really depends on the person and physiological whatever you need to alleviate the dysphoria, and everyone's different. So maybe HRT is enough, but maybe it isn't. And in my case, it wasn't. Like
Right.
it went to a point, but then it's just like
it helped, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so HRT for how long? You have to be on HRT a year?
You have to do at least a year. Yeah.
You have to be out as your gender for a year, socially, etc.
Yep.
And then you need a bunch of letters. What are the letters?
So the letters are from like your MD doctor, usually the one that's prescribing your hormones, that having bottom surgery is medically necessary to alleviate your gender dysphoria based upon this diagnosis that you have.
From DSM-5, which is gender dysphoria diagnosis.
That's right.
Okay.
The as of this video, the DSM-5 is the latest diagnostic manual for mental disorders. It's kind of not a mental disorder to be trans because it's kind of a human condition. So there's a lot of argument about that. Like, are people that are trans mentally ill? If you're running on the wrong hormones, you definitely feel like there's something off and it's affecting, if it's got an effect. So I wouldn't really call it, and I don't know. It's sort of a close call, but I wouldn't really classify it as a mental disorder. It's in there anyway. It's getting better. The DSM-4 had gender identity syndrome or something like that, GIS, and it's not a syndrome. So that's why they changed it in DSM-5. So it's actually getting better. There's also, the DSM moves through its own sort of recognition. It had its own move through the recognition of being gay. Like back in the day, the DSM classified being gay as a mental disorder, and DSM-5 they removed it. Like being gay is not a mental disorder. The same thing is going to happen to being trans. It's not a mental disorder. It's just the way things are. Yeah, you have to get a letter from your MD doctor that prescribes the hormones. You have to get a letter for a psychologist who sits down with you and interviews you to make sure that you're of sound mind to know what you're doing. And then you have to get a letter from your therapist who you've been seeing like constantly, because that's also a thing. Like this, you have to have a therapist documenting your journey here. And they have to say it's medically necessary for this person to have surgery. So you have to have like 3 letters basically, which is a requirement for insurance. Then you submit that to your surgeon, and
3? Doctor, psychologist.
My surgeon required 3.
What was the third one? Doctor,
Doctor,
psychologist.
psychologist, therapist.
Psychologist and therapist aren't the same?
No. Nope. Your therapist is your therapist, and your psychologist is like a person that can prescribe medications. Like, so they are not
I
the
think
same.
for top surgery, it's a bit simpler.
It is a bit simpler.
It's like
Trans bottom
MD
surgery
doctor.
is really like they really want you to make sure that you know what you're doing because it's irreversible, basically.
Yeah. I mean, yeeting the teat is also irreversible. I guess you could get breast implants.
Yeah, you can get breast implants put back in.
No, thank you. I don't need that.
So that's like the hoops you have to jump through, and then of course it's not that easy. It's just not that easy. If we're a raised consciousness society, you could say, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm trans," and then they could say, "Okay, what's your new name and pronouns, and let's go shopping."
Get you clothes that suit your gender.
And then you could tell your grandparents, and they're like, "That's great." And then you could tell your work, and then you could say, "That's great."
Trans water bottle.
And your friends, and people at the store, and people out in public, they would just like accept you and whatever. Doesn't happen that way, at least right now.
Be cute, we'll just be cute.
Are we back?
We are. Yeah, I'm still listening, and plus I never had that. Okay. Yeah. Is it thank you time?
Thank you time.
Okay. So there have been a number of people who have supported us in this process. First, I want to thank your mom and her spouse for house sitting for us.
Mom, you're the best.
Yeah.
For house sitting, yes.
Thanks for taking care of Neferkitty, little kittens. The other group of folks holding down the it's back. The other folks holding down the fort, as it were, are Miramy, Dan, Clem, Bips, and all the special guests that have been on my stream on Monday nights. As obvious by the technical issues we just experienced just now this minute, I'm not somewhere with good internet to do streams while I'm away. So thankfully, my pile of Meowster friends have been making stuff happen while I've been gone. And then there have been a bunch of people. Well, okay, one other individual shout out is your nurse friend.
Yes, my nurse friend.
Yeah.
Yep. I really liked. She was really helpful, and part of her mission is she takes that knowledge that she has learned by taking care of me, and will take it back to her group of people, her group of kids that she manages. Like she sets up an LGBT group for youth, and there's trans kids in there, and gay kids, and whichever. But with supporting me and seeing how I move through this pre-op, post-op, and all of the care that's required of it, she can take that knowledge and share it amongst the LGBT group and support those children.
Support trans youth.
Support trans youth. And
Do it.
It's actually really dear to my heart
yes.
to support trans youth because I used to be sort of a guest member of that LGBT group. So the trans kids that see the trans adult living like a normal life, and then they have hope, like I can be a normal person just like this other person too.
Trans is normal.
Trans is normal, and you can live your life, and it's not like a death sentence.
No.
You can be an out trans awesome person.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to bring that power into the group and just you can be awesome too.
So the following people have also sent food or money to buy food or have mailed us, in one case, like a meal kit to do a special soup dinner. And so we just wanted to do little shout outs right quick. So we have Shelly, Holly, Risa, some of those people again, Miranda, Sage and Tracy, Leah, Jesse, Kai and Satya, Nikki, Julie, um, Luna Crow, Holland, and Yvonne. And there may be more people besides today, but this
Yeah.
is the list as of this video.
And
So thanks,
a lot of the
y'all.
people on that list are my chosen family members, which is another thing that trans people usually assemble. It's kind of like the Avengers. They lose, some trans folks lose their bio families because they came out
Yeah.
and they can't accept it and they have to move through their own grief, which we cannot control. But there's other people that do accept us and bring us in and hold us and listen, and they become our chosen family. And so my chosen family has supported me through my whole journey, this whole 5-year journey of mine. And I feel held and I feel like I'm actually a part of this like assembled Avengers family. So yeah, it's may not necessarily be living in the same house together, but they come together and we hold space for each other, and it's great. And then there's also like people from my spiritual practice that come together and hold each other and care. And I really appreciate all of the help that people have poured out for supporting me through this really stressful time. And I want to pay it back in any way I can whenever I'm kind of better. If everyone, if anyone wants to go through a trans surgery and needs chosen family, reach out to me, and I will try to provide as much support as I can. Okay, because I pay it forward. That's how I operate. That's kind of where my soul really operates from. Like trans youth need to be supported. Trans people need to be supported. Um, it's really important to me. So thank you.
Yeah. How much longer are we not home? A week.
Yeah.
You have to stay for 2 weeks.
We have to stay. We were contemplating going home after that whole power outage, just awfulness. I'm just like.
But we didn't know if you could pee or not.
That's
right. The thing that could happen to you.
They took the catheter out and like, well, what if you can't pee? That's the thing. And then I'm just like, well, I don't know. And then Serge's like, I highly discourage you going home early.
Very stern.
And I'm just like.
So we did an about face and found a hotel.
And I'm like, I waited too long to be able to, I waited too long for this to screw it up now. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna follow your orders. And we.
Yes, doctor person.
Yes, doctor.
You got it.
I will diligently try to find a place to land, and we did, and we're happy enough. It's a cozy place.
I also want to say thank you to the Twitch viewers that have popped in. Mirami was here very briefly, but now I see Ian Richards 96, Nikki Beholder Genoan, and Meaningless Brit in the chat. And I know we had another friend pop in briefly, Chromathicca. It's really great to see all of you. My own little worry is that me not regularly streaming for this whole month is going to mean no one's going to remember I exist in February. So it reinforces that's not actually true by seeing you all pop over and just say hey. So yeah, I miss all y'all too, Nikki. It's honestly it's hard. It's hard to not be streaming this month. I miss hanging out with my buds and all of that. And honestly, I'm so tired just from the med schedule and all of this that we're doing that I haven't even started reading the book on the new role playing game system we're trying to use in February. I need to get on that, but probably not tonight.
It's a lot of stress we're under right now.
It is a lot. Plus, there was like a whole catastrophic weather event that happened, and there was no power, and plus there's blood, and like tired, and surgery.
The city that this happened in hadn't seen an event like this in the last 6 years.
Yeah, they didn't have the staff to manage it.
And it just happened everywhere all at once. So it was kind of unfortunate. But we got through it. We are survivors.
Oh, Britt.
If there's anything we can say about trans people, is that we're resilient as we get through things.
Thanks, Britt. Britt says that I forget Britt's pronouns. So I'm going to say they until I remember or look it up somewhere. Britt says I took a month off to do finals and came back tonight. It was like nothing happened, so don't worry. Whenever you come back, we'll be there. Oh, y'all.
I hope so.
So nice.
I think this channel is great. I think it's
a good community.
It's a good community. It's a good way to express, my support for trans folks through this space and this platform. I am an open person, so if you've got questions for me, just off the top of your head, drop them in the Discord. I think there's a channel for me, and then we'll collect those up. And for the next stream, where I check in, see where I'm at, we'll answer those and
questions.
We'll answer those questions. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I'll make a question spot. So for folks who might be viewing this on YouTube or some other platform later, if everything works the way I hope, and we get to use this layout on the screen over here that has the trans border with the little stuff at the bottom, down here is this thing that says socials. You have to type it because I don't know how to hyperlink on places, but that has all the invites, including the Discord invite. So if you want to get a hold of TransCapybara and ask questions, if you join my Discord server, you can then direct message TransCapybara.
You can ask an actual trans person questions, and then an actual trans person will answer them.
Whoa.
And maybe it gets a little too personal, and I've got my own boundaries around that. So,
has that happened yet?
I mean, not really, but I don't want to get into the dirty nitty gritty stuff. But if you really want to get into dirty nitty gritty stuff, DM me on the Discord. I am really serious about supporting people. So, yeah. And
but also like we're monogamous and married and stuff.
Oh so yeah.
You're not looking for that no, category of things.
I'm married and I'm not gonna be proposed to.
But if people want
this person,
no,
this person babe. Only,
babe.
I am.
But if you have questions about surgery, if you have questions about the process, if you're like, I'm thinking about it, but I don't know, those kind of questions.
Yeah.
Are welcome.
Yep.
Come talk to us. Okay. We're tired. We love you all. Let's go raid someone. I don't even know who's streaming right now, but I'm gonna find out. Tell us some sort of dad joke or funny anecdote while I look for someone to raid.
Funny anecdote. Well, learning to pee is a thing.
It is. It is a thing.
It's been the kind of thing that I'm working on lately, is just like relearning that and how bladders work on this configuration now, because it seems like it's really hard. It's like harder than normal, but also there's a lot of swelling, which I put an ice pack on it and it gets better, and I hope it like gets better over time, but I'm sure it does. Like, it can't be hard to pee like all the time. So there's that. There's also like learning how to masturbate correctly. If you really want to get into the nitty gritty on that one. Probably not on stream though. Yeah. That's not an on stream conversation. Probably not, but it. No, but it's terms of service, so it's not. Just so you know. I will just say it's different. And if you want to go deeper into that. Whoa. Oh my gosh, you're talking about capybaras. Perfect. So I've never rated this person before, but they are LGBTQ. They are in a very gay man looking outfit, and they are doing a charity stream to support the Trevor Project. So let's go say hello to Polygon Gamer, Gay. Oops, I did it the wrong way. Hold on. Wrong command. Boop.
Oh, that is the channel. Here it is. There you go. Okay. So if you're a follower, or excuse me, I forgot all the words. If you're a subscriber, you can copy paste that message. If you are not, you copy paste this message. And that is how we will go raid Polygon. Catching up on chat. To be honest, y'all are my first trans couple. Yay! Y'all are my first trans couple, but my best friend is trans female to male. Nice. Take your time, get some rest. Nice. His name is Noah. It's not funny.
And with that, I'm gonna eat my last cookie.
Your last cookie. Get some good sleep.
It's sort of like a Scooby snack. You put it in and like it activates Scooby.
Scooby Snook.
Scooby Snook.
Thank you. I hope we get good rest too. I bet we will. Big love to all of you. Thanks for swinging in and seeing our stream. And we'll see you on Discord, if not on stream again in the next week. Big loves. Meow. Meow.